Hi there, it's Jenny from Southern Savers. It's Monday night, and we are going to go through how to get your budget under control. That is our topic tonight, but this is also our live Q&A. So this is your chance to ask any questions that you have. They could be on topic or off topic. I'm completely okay with wherever those questions take us, as long as we stay, somewhat on saving money. That's a good thing. Budget wise, I'm trying to hit kind of the beginning of the year topics for us, and in a sense, the getting started topic. So this is our third Monday in a row after almost a 2-year break, and we've already covered just the basics on grocery savings, and we did mobile apps last week. So this week is budgets. And honestly, guys, I know a lot of folks are thinking, I just need to save on my groceries. But if we don't hit the whole picture, we really might be missing some big things. And a budget is kind of a big deal. It's kind of important. We can't really walk around and have a concept of, I'm going to save on this section, when you really have no clue where the rest of your money is going. And I know when money is tight that, if anything, you almost hate someone coming and telling you to stop spending or to watch this area. And I've seen a lot of memes lately that they make me want to cringe, really. So I don't know how many of you guys have seen the folks share on some social platform if I cut out coffee, that's, $5 a week. And yeah, I might save, a whopping $600 a year, but that was $600 well worth it. Well, honestly, that is going to be a decision by decision basis for everyone. But $600 is still $600 back in your pocket. So can cutting out one or two things here or there add up? Totally. And whether or not you're willing to make those cuts, that's your call. But those little things do add up. And that's where having a budget comes in. Because if I don't know where my money's going, I really don't know what I can do to help get it under control. And groceries, yes, is a big category. We see it go up, and we feel like it's out of control, but there are other categories that we overspend in as well. So that's our goal tonight. It's just to really look category by category. Where should we be spending? What's the right amount? And I'm not going to give you a dollar amount there. I'm going to give you a percentage amount there, but what is the right amount? What are some things that we could do to bring that down? That's our goal. So that's where we're going to dive into. And hi to everyone that's already joining me. It's always good to see you guys pop on. And I love it when you do tell me where you're from and that you're watching. It helps me not feel like I'm talking to myself, for sure. So it's good to see you guys, Lily and Stacy, Tin Man Lover, Wendy, so many folks that I feel like we all know each other. We hang out every Monday night. Yeah, Lily, we're just going to go right at it, right? Let's just hit the coffee moment in the room. Let's not leave any stone unturned here. And Deb from South Carolina, it's good to have you join me too. I need coffee to function too. I will agree with you. That one's important. But it's that coffee out that really starts to add up. So that's where we're going. Maybe that's your dining budget. I don't know where your budget where you might put some of those items, but it's watching those things to make sure that we aren't creating some slow leaks. A coach that we once knew, that was a big one for him. No slow leaks, because that's what sinks a ship. So that can be where you kind of remind yourself on some of these small purchases. Now, as we dive in, I want to give you guys some tools, and I'm not able to put everything in comments until the end. So I'm going to share some things, and then I'm going to come back when we're done and I'll put links in. But I am going to walk you through how you could Google these things as well to find them. But if you come back and you grab these videos or you look at these videos after the fact, these links should be below the video. So to dive in, the first thing that whenever we talk budgets, I always point people here, and the easiest way to find this would be Dave Ramsey printable budget. It's going to come up as the top thing on Google. It's Dave Ramsey's useful forms. Before we even go here, I guess let me back up for a second. Let's go back full screen. I've been helping my college kiddos who are going to graduate in a year. That is just mind blowing to me. And sat down with one of them in particular this past summer And she's like, Mama, it's time. I want to learn everything there is to learn about budgets. And I love it. And it's a conversation that it's totally cool to have earlier, but there's no point in having it until they're ready to own it, right? So we got to have that moment. Like, girl, we can talk this for days. If that's what you want to do, you've made my year. But this is where I took them to. And I took her there. I always go to my Dave Ramsey forms, guys, but this is where I'm coming off of my little soapbox. Dave Ramsey forms are very helpful for helping us create a budget, but Dave Ramsey is only helpful in small chunks. And you're going to find most financial planners, most retirement planners we take small pieces of Dave Ramsey, and then we take what's going to work for you and what is actually financially wise. And we need to put all that together. And so that's where some of Dave Ramsey actually makes me cringe. I love Dave Ramsey's focus on getting you out of debt. That is his very big focus, and helping you not make stupid choices. So if you are in a ton of debt, or you feel like, you know what, we aren't making really wise choices with our money, listen to him all day long. He is going to help you get back on track. But once you're on track and you're managing your money, some of his advice actually isn't the best financially wise advice. And this is where I had to go with my college kid, because guys, we need a credit report. Your credit is actually crucial to your insurance rates that you pay on your car. You aren't going to be able to pay cash for a house unless you want to rent forever and buy a house when you're like 56. So we got to take some of this in small doses. So now let's go Dave Ramsey forms. Now that I've said that, I am not a Dave Ramsey sponsored person at all. He would just fire me. So I want you to head here. This is Dave Ramsey's useful forms. Google's going to get you there. And then the first form is actually the one on the top corner. He realizes this is the one we're all printing, but that is the one that I want you to actually use. So click it, download it. I waited to download it just until we were all right here together. But this is the monthly cash flow plan, and it is the most useful form. Whoop, I did it again to myself, guys. Most useful form in terms of figuring out what it is, where we're spending our money, where we are wanting to go with each category. So as you are looking at this, you're going to see that he has broken out every single thing imaginable. It's very easy for you to not miss anything with this printable budget. And that's why I like it. It literally has, even down to the optometrist, which you really may have never even thought to put in your budget, but it is there. So he's got it all, and you are not going to miss a section with that, and I love it. So this is a great one to start with. It is one that you're going to print. You can fill out, you can click and fill out, but a lot of times you're just going to print it and you're going to use it with a pen. For me, this is a helpful one to start with because it is going to help us go section by section. I love that he also starts with charity first and saving first. So the concept here on any budget plan is we're trying to give every dollar a job. We're trying to make sure that I don't have any dollars left over once I have budgeted every single thing, because those dollars left over, they're the first thing that you tend to look in your checking account or your savings account and say, hey, I got 25 bucks. I can afford that. Like, whoa, hopefully every dollar is accounted for, and that $25 that's sitting in your account actually has a purpose. And that is where, we want to have that focus. We want to make sure that we aren't trying to spend whatever we think is left over. We're saving it, and we're making sure that we know where it's going. So that is how you're gonna plug in here. You're gonna plug in what you want to budget for each of those sections. And then in the end, you're going to come back and you're going to do a how did I do? How did I spend? Did I manage to hit my budget? So big three are the top three things: charity, saving, and housing. These are some of the largest chunks of your budget, hopefully. Giving being, if you're going to tithe, we're giving 10% off the top. Savings, we want to make sure that is also happening, hopefully off the top. Now, obviously, I can't figure out how much to put in savings from the get-go. We could just make up a number and be like, woohoo, let's put $500 in savings this month. If that money doesn't exist, that doesn't really work, right? So you're going to come back and fill in that box with what is left. But our goal is still to handle it first after we get paid. So once we sit here and we work through this form, yes, you're going to figure out what's going in that section after we see kind of what's left over. But then after we do that, we've filled out the form, I encourage you with that savings, even with the charity, if that's what you need to do, I encourage you to automate your savings. So you have figured out, okay, here's our budget. At the end of the month, we should have $200 left over. I encourage you to go into your bank and set up an automated transfer from checking to savings of that $200 and automate it literally to come out the day after your payroll hits. If you always get paid on the first of the month, then automate a transfer from checking to savings on the 3rd of the month. Give yourself a 2-day buffer just in case sometime the first of the month falls on a weekend and you end up in a really hard spot because your paycheck was slightly delayed. Those things happen. But having it auto transfer over, it leaves that money, boom, it's in savings and it's dealt with, rather than relying on you to remember, I shouldn't spend that. That's my savings money. I don't have to remember. I did it. I saved it from the start. So yes, we're going to figure this section out based on what's left over in a way, but we're going to then make it automated and handle it at the beginning of the month, right after we get paid. So now section by section, housing. I love one aspect of Dave's printable because these are the percentages that I would give you guys. So you see down here in each little section, he has exactly how much that needs to be. Most financial folks are going to tell you your housing really never needs to be above 30% of your take-home pay. So whatever you make, your rent, your mortgage, your taxes, I would put your homeowner's insurance in there too. He actually has insurance down in a different section, but it's really part of housing. That needs to all be in that 30% window. And for most of you, honestly, a lot of these are actually together. So if you look at this, if you've never filled out a budget before, I don't want you to panic on that section too, because there's a really good chance on your mortgage, for example, that you don't pay your real estate taxes. Those are actually part of your monthly mortgage payment if you pay escrow along with your mortgage payment, which 95% of America pays escrow. You don't have to, by the way, if you are out getting a mortgage and you are financially responsible, you can actually handle your own escrow. You have to prove to the bank that you can handle it. But if you are there and you know that you can handle it, I highly recommend that because you are the one that gets to earn the interest on that money. That money is going to sit in an account. When I pay it with my mortgage, they save it. They save the estate tax or the real estate taxes. They save the insurance payment all year in a little tiny account so that when those bills come, they go straight to the mortgage and the mortgage pays them. You don't get any of that interest. Meanwhile, you could have had it in an interest-bearing account. So that's, a whole nother tip there. But just to point out, there's a chance on some of these line items that they're going to be part of your mortgage. There's a chance that they're not. And if they're not, or you're about to get a new home, you could ask them to separate that out. Just to mention all of that. Some of these items, as well as you look at this budget, on any printable budget, there need to be some line items that are forward-thinking line items. Obviously, I cannot decide what repairs and maintenance. I can't just make up a number there, but I do want to save something for repairs and maintenance. You're going to have things break. You're going to have a leak in the roof. The air conditioner is going to go out. The refrigerator is going to go on the fritz. It's going to happen. And if that money is not tucked aside, then that's immediately coming out of your savings. But if I can, $25 a month, $30 a month, tuck some money aside for repairs and maintenance, that's going to be a lot less painful when things break. So some people do this in a category by category basis, a saving for housing repair, a saving for car repair. Some people instead would put this in a separate savings account just for, maybe it's maintenance repairs, maybe it's just your emergency fund, your rainy day fund, just things that come up that are unexpected. However you want to save, just make sure that you're thinking about all those categories. So one option here is that you're going through housing and you've got a category like this under housing, you've got a category like this under cars. You technically have a very similar category under medical expenses. So maybe your way of approaching this is that I look at all of these and I map out where I think they might need to be in each section, but then I total up that amount, that housing repair, that car repair, those medical unexpected. I total up that amount and I try to put it in a separate savings account, just so that I'm keeping tabs on how much I have. This much is in savings. You can totally do like 9 savings accounts if you wanted to, guys. You can have a vacation fund. You get the idea. But part of this needs to be that really bummer expenses. They're expenses nobody wants to deal with, but you've set aside the money so that it's not going to cream you when it comes along. So all of that is 30%. You start to see that at this point, we've already hit like 50% of what you're bringing home, really. If 10% is savings and 10% is charity, 30% is housing, you only got 50% left. So then you start to see all these other categories and they do add up, keeping in mind that a chunk of these are, if the money is there type categories, right? So let's hit some of these big ones. What happens if I cannot, I can't make the money stretch to all of these categories? Where are some big things that we can hit? Maybe you call it low-hanging fruit, or maybe it's really just, it's going to be some life-changing things, but what are some things that we can do? Honestly, right now, housing might not be where you can make that adjustment unless you are in a situation where this is a massive number. If that number is huge, you're at more the 50%, 55%. Honestly, the only way this budget is going to work is if you move. You've got to sell the house. The longer you stay in the house, the longer you drag your heels on that, the more you're just digging yourself in a hole. So there are some hard moments that have to happen there. And hanging on is only hurting in the end. I will say now is not the most ideal time to put your house on the market. So if you are in a house that you own, you really want to try to hold on for maybe like 2 more months. The best time to hit the market is usually late spring, because a lot of folks tend to look for a house late spring so they can move during the summer, trying to not upset their kids' school schedule. That tends to historically be where we are. We also really want mortgage rates to drop. That's going to help you a lot, and that's not happening. But no matter what, just figuring out this is where we've got to go. Let's start to work towards that. Maybe your house isn't ready to go on the market yet, but you can start to work towards that. We can start to do some quick paint and some other things that might help to increase the value a tiny bit, and then get it on the market when the timing is a little bit better in your favor. So that's a big one. Obviously, if you're way over on percentage on housing, moving. And I hate to break it to you, but it is. And another one is cars, guys. So if you're in a situation where you are paying, a car loan on top of gas, on top of insurance for that car, it might be time to sell that car and get a older car that's still reliable, but it is going to save you in a number of ways. So getting that older car that doesn't have a loan, maybe you can actually pay for it. You sell one car, whatever you get back, you can use towards paying for a different car. But that older car is going to be cheaper to insure. Its taxes are going to be cheaper. You have potentially significantly reduced your monthly out-of-pocket with an older car versus a new car that you're paying a car loan on. So that can be another large change in your budget that has a big impact. And the third one that I would tend to get folks to at least look at is, where are you on your insurance costs? And so here we have medical, and Dave really puts insurance all the way down here in the bottom, and insurance for me needs to really be over here in medical. I would have put these insurances where they went in the various categories. But how much are you paying on medical insurance? And in years past, we've done entire Q&As on medical insurance, but just to go big screen here for a second. There are some options. Obviously, they're not going to work for everybody. You know where your health is, what issues you've got. We all have them. But there are some ways that you can potentially lower your insurance costs. There is going into the healthcare marketplace and just seeing what you qualify for. You might be surprised if you've got some kids. Kids help you out a little bit in the marketplace, and you may actually be able to qualify for some insurance subsidies that you didn't realize you even qualified for. So it never hurts to go in and just play with the numbers and see what is available for you. Another option is looking into private insurance. There's actually a ton of folks out there. I do not recommend, and I made this bad call, so this is learning from my experience this year, but we were hunting around for insurance before Christmas, and I made the mistake of going on one of the websites that are, oh, we'll give you a quote. Do not give them your phone number. None of them. No, just don't do it. I still get text messages from insurance people trying to give me a quote on insurance. And we're now 3 months out from having done that, multiple texts a week. So don't do that. Don't give anyone your phone number, definitely not from a form, but you will find there are insurance agents, even in your own town, that can help you. So asking even your homeowner's insurance folks, hey, do you know anyone who does medical insurance? A lot of these insurance brokers, they don't charge you. They get paid when you choose a plan, but they can still quote you a lot of different plans, and you at least get some ideas of what's available. There's a chance that some of these plans may be cheaper than what you're currently paying through work even. So if you have a work plan, but it's feeling incredibly expensive, it doesn't hurt to see what your options are. And there is another option, and those are health sharing programs that are out there. You need to do your research here. It's also, if you've got a lot of health issues, probably not where you want to go. But if you're pretty healthy, that could also be something that you look into. That is actually where we chose to go this year. So we went off of traditional insurance and we went on to Samaritan's Ministries. I always get them mixed up with Samaritan's Purse. Samaritan's Ministries, we've been on them years ago, but we're back on them because for our family of 7, it was only $635 a month. Now, that's still $635 a month, but it was way cheaper than what our other options were. So just to, lay out everything, there could be something cheaper in the health insurance side. Hopefully the healthcare marketplace being the best option for you, but it depends on what is available in your area. So lots of things there. Jenny's going back to the car. She says, I agree. However, her older cars broke down a lot. So it ended up being constant money pit. I agree. I don't want you really to have to get a car that's, 20 years old and we're replacing part after part after part. But if we can find a reliable old car that is inside the budget, it is hopefully going to be the wiser choice for you in the end. And everybody is going to chime in with what they think is that reliable older car, right? We all have, my dad would only buy these, or my granddad swore by these. So that brand is going to change for every family. I would tell you an old Toyota is going to hold its value, hands down. So, those are my 2 cents, but that's coming from a kid whose dad only owned Toyotas. And now I only own Toyotas. It is what it is. So we all have those. And Tin Man Lover, I can definitely put in the link that we, for the insurance company that we use, in the list of links that I put in after the video, but it is Samaritan's Ministries. There's a few of them out there. We just, after reading all the reviews and having already been on this in the past, we felt very comfortable with the one that we ended up going with. Okay, I do want to show you guys one other budget option. So we showed you the Dave Ramsey. One other though, and the easiest way, I even saved the Google here. I literally Googled Google Doc budget template. So if you are not in the world of Google Docs and Google Drive, you need to be. It's amazing what you can find that are templates and ready to go. But the top result is the one that you want, personal monthly budget template. Again, all I did was Google Doc budget template. These templates, when you pull it up, it's even going to say, you don't own this. That's totally cool. All you need to do is go in and say, file, make a copy. And I want to make a copy, and I want to put this in my own Google Drive, basically. So make a copy, and now, even then it's going to be difficult. Well, it walks you through how to do it. File, make a copy, and so you can get some ideas there. But with this guy that's being huge up top, it has the fill-ins that you would want to use. So if you want to do this in a spreadsheet, you are good to go. And I think for me, my issue is that I'm in like a business Google here. But you can play around with it. You can make a copy however you would like. Put it in your own Google Doc. And it has so many of those same Dave Ramsey columns. But what I like about this one in particular, once you have it in your own, is that you can fill them in and it auto fills into the projected and actual for you. So as you put in a value here, it is going to sit there and keep the running total for you into the actual and projected columns all the way down. So very, very simple. Once you also have this in your own Google Doc, you can actually just keep making a copy, not into different documents, but into different tabs so that you can have January, February, March, April, and keep going so that you can see how you've done. So that is a Google Doc, and I will stick that one as well in the comments. And again, it walks you through how to make a copy so that you can have your own version. There are also some great apps that you can use. A few different ones. There aren't a lot of free budgeting apps anymore, especially since we lost Mint, thanks to Intuit buying them and making it no longer free. But with mobile apps, sometimes you get what you pay for. So paying for a good budgeting mobile app might be what you need to do. YNAB, it stands for You Need a Budget, is one of the #1 rated mobile apps that is out there, and it is a great way to keep tabs on where your money is going. You will get updates as to how much is left. You will be able to constantly see it. There's also ways that I can log in, my husband can log in, we can all see what's happening in this same budget, and that is also helpful. Now, same with the Google Doc, by the way. You can always share your Google Doc with everyone in the family so that you're not the only one that has that access. Other people can see it too. But someone still needs to be the person who's filling it in. It doesn't always work to just make it something that no one is looking at, right? Someone's got to have the job of filling it in. Sitting down and looking at it together, though, is a great way to make sure we're all on the same page. And thank you. So Lily's chiming in and saying that EveryDollar, which is Dave Ramsey's version, does still have a free version. No need to get the Ramsey Plus. And I'm pretty sure with the free version, you're not able to import, if I'm right there. You can chime in on that, Lily. So the free version for EveryDollar, if you wanted to import directly from your bank, that comes with the paid version. But if you're okay with manually entering, then you would be good with the free version on EveryDollar. EveryDollar and YNAB, or You Need a Budget, are using the same concepts. EveryDollar has a job. That's where Dave Ramsey's EveryDollar is coming from. So great apps to get you started. Again, if money is super tight though, and you do feel like, oh, all I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to upgrade, then try the Google Doc. Try even the paper version and you looking at it yourself to get an idea so that you are at least seeing, yes, I am going to keep my budget before you pay the money. That might help. Oh, and Lily says yes. So the importing is what is going to cost you in the advanced version. But I agree. Entering it manually holds you accountable. You're right. Because you sit there and you're like, oh, I've got another dining out and I've got more coffee. And it really starts to hurt after you keep entering it. So that can be a great way. Not auto importing the bank account and the credit cards can definitely help. Another one, though, is actually to check with your bank. So look at your online banking. And I am not going to, pull up my bank account to show you, but look at your online banking, because a lot of online banking, they now have a way that you can assign what that expense was. so that as you are going down your checking account, I can say this was for dining out, this was for clothing, this was for groceries. And it's smart. Once I assign it one, it stays there. So it learns, hey, sometimes you don't even have to tell it. It knows Publix is groceries. It knows, Old Navy was clothing. So maybe it's really that you're going to realize there's only one or two things that I need to hit. And you might find that in the end, it even gives you a report. So our local bank, we're with South State, they're not magical in any way. They're just a little South Carolina bank. They have this feature. So I have no doubt that most of our larger banks have the same concept. That is still a great way to just get some basics, right? I just need some numbers to fill into some boxes. Literally your bank may already be doing this for you. So don't reinvent the wheel if you don't need to. If it's there and I can already see a little pie chart, oh wow, I spend that much a month on that category. That might be all you need to have a little kick in the pants and make some changes. So see what might already be there in your bank. Definitely, if you use credit cards for your purchases, they are already doing this. Credit cards been doing this for 20 years, right? So it's already there, and you can also make changes if it's itemizing it in incorrect categories, and you will still get that same pie chart in your credit card kind of online. Now, it's not going to be in your statements, but when you're looking at your credit card kind of screenshots of it, you're going to see everything that you've been spending there. Let me hit that for a second, because I know we're sitting here, we're talking budgets, and I used the credit card word. I am actually not opposed to using a credit card, and in our world, that's actually where most of our expenses go. You just have to pay it off at the end of the month. And a credit card is actually, for us, a really great way to keep tabs on where expenses are going, and to quickly make changes. I can see we went over here. We've spent a lot on gas this month, or wow, we've already grabbed 3 different things from clothing stores. We don't ever spend this much on clothing. There are ways that you can set up credit cards now to give you automatic notifications. Do it if you feel like you need it. You can also even set up notifications. Hey, if my bill starts to approach this month or this much money, send me an alert. So you can even kind of set up your own spending notifications on there in category or total amounts. You can set up notifications for even a total dollar amount spend. Tell me anytime I spend more than $50, so that it's grabbing your attention every time it does. The way you're going to utilize this the most is if you put the credit card app on your phone. So Chase has an app, Amex has an app, whatever your credit card is through, so that you can keep tabs on that card a little bit better. Obviously, the only way that I would recommend this is if you are paying it off at the end of the month. But this is what we do. So we do not use a debit card. I don't even have one or carry a debit card. I've only come into an issue with this one time in a foreign country when I desperately needed money to be able to take a cab from one point to another, and they wanted cash, and I had none. But beyond that moment, I, again, will not ever leave home without some cash. I don't know what we were thinking in that moment. But other than that, we have never had an issue not having a debit card. Don't carry one. Only use the credit card for 2 reasons. One, debit cards are actually not super secure. If someone steals it, they're stealing your money out of your account. Yes, you will get it back, but it is going to take some time and it's going to take a lot of work. But 2, you're missing out on the rewards that can come from credit cards and using them wisely. And that for us is travel. So we do put everything on a credit card and then have those points for free airline tickets and free hotels, which are fun, right? So anything that I can put on a credit card, many times I will try, just so that I can get those points and then pay it off right after I make that purchase. That again is only if you are paying it off. Got to do that. So let's see. As folks are chiming in on their budgets too. Michelle's saying she tried YNAB and then settled on Every Dollar as well and loves it. So I'm glad we've got 2 Every Dollar folks in the room. Glad that you're not alone there. Tin Man Lover says she's back to pen and paper, and I agree. And Tin Man Lover, this is where I'm saying we have to take some of Dave Ramsey with a grain of salt. Credit cards, if you cannot use them and pay them off at the end of the month, they are bad. You're going to pay a ton of money in interest if you just go to town and buy a bunch of things, right? And then can't afford to pay that off at the end of the month. So you need to use a credit card the same way you would use your checking account. If I do not have the money to buy the item, I do not buy the item, period. I wouldn't buy it with the checking account, and I'm not going to buy it with the credit card either. So I cannot use a credit card like a loan. I cannot use it to go out and purchase something that I cannot afford. But as long as I am using it to purchase something that I can pay for, literally that day if I wanted to, I'm okay. And credit cards are not evil. They have a very big purpose of helping you build credit. And building your credit is actually, it's an integral part of adulting. Folks are going to pull your credit report to decide what your insurance rate is. It's a part of your risk assessment for car insurance, particularly, and homeowners insurance, not as much, but car insurance, life insurance, going to be based on your credit report as well. There are a lot of things that you will end up getting soft pulls on your credit report just to see. And there's even some businesses that when they go to hire you, will say, hey, can we pull a credit report? It allows us to see what kind of risk you take. Now, you can always say no to that. They are not allowed to do it without asking your permission. But if you said no, this has a big chance also of, leaving folks with a, why did you say no to that, right? So just realize that if I have no credit, I have no credit history, I've never taken out a loan, and I have no credit cards, I have no credit history, that puts you in a bad spot. What happens if you actually need money? You have a car that broke down, I have to get another car, or we need a small medical loan to be able to pay for a root canal, or who knows? Some of that may have ended up on a credit card for some folks. Maybe they try to get a care credit, which a lot of doctors' offices will offer to you now. That is still a loan, and it's still going to require some sort of credit history. So again, this is where a credit card comes in. Used wisely helps you to build that credit history. So that is where it's going. Sadly, and Lily is right, most people, once they start to use it, cannot pay it off. Most people do put themselves in a position where they treat it like fun money, and they just start to add and add and add until they can no longer pay it off at the end of the month. So I encourage you, if you're worried that that is going to be you, I actually encourage you to almost treat it like a checking account. And maybe you go to keeping a Google Doc or a paper register so that you're writing down, this is what I bought and this is how much I have. Or putting the app on your phone so that you can quickly see how much is my bill right now. I have an Amex card. It's you can get just the blue Amex. It's the basic Amex that we have for our college kids. This is you are somewhere and you have no money and you need to get to mom and daddy. This is your emergency card. But we can even put limits per kid on that card. So you can't go to town. If someone stole your wallet, they can't go to town. The card only has a tiny little bit that it can access. It's enough to get you home in a crisis moment. So you can go that route if you don't trust yourself. But even that Amex card still sends a weekly email. This is your current statement so that you can see what you have spent, where you are in your current spending. So go Amex for that. I think it's a very wise thing to always be looking into. The same with our bank. We shouldn't just look at the bank once a month, right? We should be looking once a week, maybe more often if needed, on where is the current balance in the checking account, right? Are we good on where we're spending? You're not going to just go randomly spending money out of your checking account if you don't know that it's there. So same thing when you're using a credit card, and treating it just like a checking account is going to help you be a lot wiser with that credit card as well. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. And Lily says she was surprised to see on a recent Apartment Hunter that they are moving from credit reports and offering less deposit if it is if it's good. So I'll be interested to see where things are a decade from now. It will be interesting to see how things change. I even think the change to remove medical insurance from credit reports is going to have some impacts for folks too. It's going to be huge for folks that have bad credit because of medical problems. Having that removed here soon, hopefully, is going to make some changes for folks and make some things cheaper. So it's sad to see that they aren't going to lower your deposit if you are a lower risk, but there are still a lot of things that do pull from your credit report. So I would keep working on good credit. It's never a bad thing. And Lynn's chiming in and saying, I check my credit card and my banking info daily. So I am all for that. I think there's a side for some folks that might cause anxiety. So, every other day, once a week, whatever you can handle to be wise with the money that you have is what you need to do. But I don't want to stress anybody out either. So I'm all for it if you can handle it every day. I keep the apps on my phone and definitely am checking in. It's helpful for us because we don't use our checking account really, other than to pay the credit cards. I'm really needing to keep tabs on the credit cards, right? Because the checking account is only going to have a few bills coming out of it, where everything else is hitting the credit cards for us. So I tend to check the credit cards on a pretty regular basis, making sure that we're keeping tabs on where those are, that we haven't overspent somewhere. Now, as we talk about all of that, let's talk about just regular spending though, because that's one section that a lot of us are overspending on. And if we're really looking at, let's go back to Dave here. If we're really looking at some of these categories, you're going to see as you get into these individual categories, a lot of things that are personal, but maybe not required sections of your budget. So if money is really tight, there are possibly just some places you don't need to be, right? I have no money. I probably shouldn't be in a bookstore. I don't even need to really even go into Goodwill. Let's just say that. And we need to make sure that even in the grocery store, we're sticking to what we need. So this can be a soapbox moment for me and for others, because I know sometimes we feel like, but we're saving money and we should still buy it. But if we don't need it, we don't need to buy it. And that can be hard. Even my kids, they know that if I see a clearance corner, that I'm like, oh, it's a clearance corner. Hold up. We need to go in that corner. Even if it's in the clearance corner, if you don't need it, you don't need to buy it. I know that it's a deal, and I know that it might be the best price you're seeing on any of these items ever. But if it's not something you need, you don't need to buy it. And definitely, if money is tight, then you're using money you don't have to buy something you don't need. So don't do that. I would love to make it seem like it could be, this massive math equation that I'm like unraveling for you, but it's really that simple. We're looking at trying to spend money we don't have to buy something we don't need. So don't buy it. That's how simple it needs to be for you. So this is going to be, to go back to this budget one last time, this is going to be a chunk of these lower sections. So recreation, all your personal things here, toiletries, cosmetics, books, clothing, pocket money. I think he's actually got clothing over here in its own little section. For us, clothing would end up being possibly something that literally was a zero spend on some months and higher on others. I am going to try to get the best deal that I can on things. I'm going to try to ask my kids the minute I find a deal, whoa, does anybody need this? That was me today. I made everybody, and we'll just say it, if you have not already shopped this deal, Old Navy today through tonight is running 50% off swimsuits. So I'm like, everybody stop what you're doing and let's try on swimsuits, because I do not want you to come and tell me next week that you need a swimsuit when today they are 50% off and I can get a kid's swimsuit for $12. So there are moments where we pause and we're going to just deal with this right now before the deal is over. But then there are other moments where maybe my kids come to me and say, hey, Mom, I need some shorts. And we have a little chat about, well, what is need? How many shorts do you currently have? And how many do you feel like you're missing out on? And then we discuss what some options are. How about if we head to Goodwill? How about if we see if a sister has some that she can pass down to you that don't fit her anymore? This could also be a big one for parents. I really, really recommend that you go through your kids' clothes every year at the start of a season. So, I mean, you could say it. Tomorrow's me 70 at our house. So it's like third spring, right? It'll be winter again in a couple weeks, but third spring for right now. It's a great time to say, okay, guys, we're going to do it. I want you guys to pull out your clothes and I make them go through it first. I want you to go through your clothes and I want you to make a pile of things you don't want to wear. And I would love for those things to not exist, but they exist because I don't know about boys, but this is how girls work. They buy it, they wear it, and then they decide after a few wearings, I don't really want to wear that anymore. So then we have to have a talk about that, because if that pile is really big, we need to have a little heart to heart about why is this pile so big? Why did we buy these things and then you decide not to wear them? Doesn't mean that heart to heart works, but we still need to have it. And sometimes it will move some things out of that pile. So things that they're not going to wear, piles of things they don't fit in anymore. So let them sort that if they're old enough. They can do a lot of this work for you. And then you come in and deal with what's left. Okay, now let's look at what is left. What will you wear that fits? Let's maybe move some things out of the I won't wear this pile back into the I will wear it. And then let's see what they really, really need. That's for you to decide on need. For me, I'm happy if you've got a week's worth of clothing, mostly because in our world too, my kids sometimes I'm the same way. I'll wear the same pair of jeans for a couple days before I wash them. I'm not saying younger kids can do that because they see a mud puddle and it like calls their name. But any more than a week's worth of clothing is just causing chaos in their bedrooms. They're going to wear it out anyway, a lot of it. So a week's worth of clothing is going to work in the amount of space, the amount of chaos. And by the time they grow out of it, I didn't buy 12 pairs of shorts just for you to be out of that size in another week or two. So that's how we're going to break that down. Doing this at the beginning of spring helps me to see what do we need so that I can start to find deals on those things. I can watch clearance sales. Children's Place is running 60% off the entire site. They ran 75% off clearance yesterday. Old Navy and their 50% off swimsuits today. Finding those deals as I can, or Goodwill. I'm not opposed to Goodwill, though their clothing prices are kind of steep in my book. Paying $5 for a pair of shorts that I could buy new hurts a little bit. But there are some other thrift stores in town that are cheaper than Goodwill, so find those too and start to fill in what is needed seasonally. So we're not shopping every deal that is out there, right? We're not going to say, oh, look, your favorite brand is on sale today and getting them something else. We've already achieved that. We've looked and seen you have everything you need to make it through this season. And it might be fun to have that, but that's not in the budget right now. I would also encourage you, for children in particular, anytime we can stay out of name brands is a good day, but to remember that most of your kids, until they hit that 16 mark for girls or 19, 20 mark for boys, whatever they have is going to fit for maybe 6 months, maybe. And then you're off in another size. So it is rare for me to even pay full price for jeans. Well, never full price, but to even buy new jeans for my kiddos. Jeans is a big one where I'll say, ooh, you need a new pair of jeans and I don't have a deal right now. we're going to a thrift store. Because I am not paying 20 or 30 bucks for a pair of jeans that are going to fit you for 3 months. Now, once we hit adulthood and we start to wear that same pair of jeans for 10 years, you can pay whatever you want to pay. It's your money at that point. But those are my takes on children's clothes to kind of narrow out some of those categories. So if we could do that across the board with everything in the house, that would save us a ton of money, right? Do I really need to be grabbing this? I already have a set of pots and pans. They work great. So it's you kind of sitting down and saying what's important and what's not important. And we need to be doing that with every category, especially when money is super tight. So hopefully, that helped. It was a little tangent on clothes, but hopefully that helps for sure. And Timmy and Lover, I love where you're going too. So as we talk books, we talk about entertainment even, cutting some of those categories. I think my family we went to the movies once last year. That's just, movies are incredibly expensive. So movies are not in our budget, just not something we do. But entertainment for us might look different in other ways. We do enjoy sports. I can't really afford to take everyone to Major League. I definitely can't afford Major League. I can barely afford college. Definitely can't afford like college football. Those games get really expensive. But there are some affordable games that I could take my kids to. So finding those unique ways to save where, maybe we do once a month, we get out and get to go to a fun game we didn't expect. So this was us a few weeks ago. We actually went to a University of South Carolina ice hockey game. Now, they don't have an ice hockey team. They have a club team, but they still play other big teams. So this was South Carolina versus Alabama. It was at a local hockey rink. It's not even on the campus because campus doesn't, we're South Carolina. We don't have ice here, but there is a local ice rink. But it's $5 for kids, $10 for adults to get in. That is much more affordable than going to a football game. Even baseball and basketball tickets will be way cheaper. Definitely if you're looking on weekday games versus weekends. So get creative. If I want to do something fun, there is probably a creative way to be able to do something similar in an affordable manner. It doesn't mean that it might be exactly what they wanted, but we still got to get out. We still got to do something on that entertainment side, but we didn't have to break the budget to do it. So that would be an encouragement on that one. Timmy Lover said you saw the Wicked movie and that was the first movie since 2019. That's pretty huge. For me, I've even started, talking about that movie in particular. There are a lot of times that I look at the fact that these movies come out to streaming, even paid streaming, so early that versus paying for 7 people to see something in a theater when I can pay $30 to pay stream it. I would always choose that. I still don't choose that, but I would. I won't pay to watch anything. I've just hit that point. There's so much that I can watch that I will just wait until it is free, which if that is any of you, by the way, that particular movie I did see a press release is coming out, I think on the 21st of March to Paramount Plus, or no, Peacock, coming out to Peacock. Got them mixed up on March 21st. So if you haven't paid to see that movie, but you want to, there you go. Karen, yes, minor league baseball games. That's another fun one. We have one here in town. Minor league baseball games, way cheaper than Major League. And in our area, there's even $5 berm seats where you can go sit in the grass. With those games, another big tip, anytime you're doing something like that, you may spend nothing on the tickets, but you're going to spend a ton on the food. So be careful. Take kids in that have eaten a lot already so that you can manage to not kill your budget as soon as you get in on eating out, basically. No food. And I will give people like little speeches in the car. No one's hungry, right? We've eaten a ton. We even eat it in the car on the way there. No food, just so that we can manage to not get a ton out while we're in the ballpark. Okay. Yes. And Lily, thank you. I do only one streaming service at a time. There is a ton to watch. Then there's a ton that's free, guys. Pluto TV is on probably on in my house right now. I don't even know what they're watching, but Pluto is one that is always free. There's commercials, but there is so much content on Pluto. We love old TV. There's a lot of old TV on Pluto, even down to like an entire Star Trek, The Next Generation channel, and one for every type, if that's your thing. There's a Flipper channel. We can just live in the 60s through 90s, all we want on Pluto. That's completely free. Sling free stream, also completely free. Just those two alone are going to give you a ton to watch. But then rotating through the paid options is another huge way to save. Another one too can be, when you get to be adult level, you never know what to give someone for Christmas. So asking for a year subscription to a favorite is a great way to save money. My mother, we have a standing Christmas gift now. Years ago, we asked for BritBox, and she just renews it every year for us now. So BritBox, it's all British mysteries and British TV. We get that. We have it all the time and we love it. It's probably what we watch the most, second to Pluto. But we don't have to pay for that. That is her Christmas gift to us. I think a year is like $89. I haven't checked recently. I probably should, just to make sure I'm not asking for something really, really huge. But that is her Christmas gift to both my husband and I. And it makes us very happy. And she's thrilled that she's giving us a gift that we love. So hands down, it's an easy way to ask for a gift. And you now get to take that out of your budget. So that can be another option for you as you're trying to cut some budget areas, free TV, seeing if we can get some as a gift so that we aren't paying for streaming as a whole. Because if we're really working on the pillars here, you need a house, you need clothes, you need food, and you need a car. That's it. Beyond those four, house, clothes, food, car, everything else really needs to be considered as extra. That even comes down to this guy. He's extra. So if you are not in one of those four, going and paying a ton for a cell phone, not really that important. Getting a prepaid line, going with Boost Mobile. Boost is currently offering buy 6 months, get 6 months for free. Done. You just bought a whole year with Boost Mobile if that's what you wanted, or the prepaid lines, and really great service, but way cheaper than the Verizon and T-Mobiles of the world. So that again though is extra. It is not the food, clothing, a house or car part. Some folks would say the car is not important. That is obviously based on where you live. Where we are, it's a good 25 minutes to anything. So if I didn't have a car, I couldn't eat. I couldn't get to the grocery store unless I grew it myself. So cars are important based on where you live, and definitely in some areas. Okay. Any tips on saving on utilities? Great question, Coupon Clipper. So let's hit that section. We've been jumping around. Utilities, the biggest one to start off with is, if you haven't already, I think every household needs to call and activate budget billing. So that's not going to save you money, but that is going to save you from crisis months. So budget billing, the water company and most electric companies offer budget billing. This is going to take your yearly amount that you spend and it's going to average it, and you're going to pay the same amount every single month. That is going to help your budget, because now I don't have an unexpected winter, which would have been everyone's January here. January was so cold in South Carolina, where you got that bill and it was killer if you did not have budget billing, if you were not ready for what almost no days above 50 degrees looks like. That was a pretty painful electricity bill. So budget billing is going to average it out. You pay the same amount every single month. No scary moments. It will re-average it. Obviously, if we had some really rough months this past year, that's going to go up next year. So don't look at that as like a unlimited electricity bill. Don't go crazy. You still need to keep your eye on the amount of utilities you're using, but it saves you from putting your savings in a bad spot. Now, how do we cut down on some things? Obviously, the first one is the heat and the AC. I just heard the heat cut on here. We've got some warm days coming up in the south. So for you, that needs to be taking advantage of those warm days. We need to be opening up the house. If the house is colder than it is outside during the day, let's let the day warm up the house. It's going to still be cold at night where I am anywhere. I can't speak about where everybody is, but where I am, we're hitting the 70s this week. But at night, we're still in the 40s. So we need to kind of get as much of that warmth inside as we can during the day and then keep it inside at night. That's going to help you out a lot if we can go ahead and get that heat off as much as we can. We don't need the AC yet, right? Ceiling fans or box fans is a really big way to help you during those spring months and even into the summer, moving some air but keeping the AC off as much as we can too. Having programmable thermostats is a really big one, and you will a lot of times find some great deals on them. Depending on your electric company, you can even get some for free from them. I would check in with your local electricity company and see if they offer energy audits. So Duke Energy, there's a few different big energy companies in the Southeast. I know Georgia Power offers these as well. So call and see, do you offer energy audits? A lot of our local energy co-ops will also do this. So they will come into your house and they will assess where they feel that you're losing the most energy. They have little gadgets and they can measure airflow, they can measure cold spots, they can even measure windows. What kind of energy loss are you getting through the windows? And they will give you a lot of advice as to how you can insulate the home better and tips that you can do to reduce energy costs. So that's a big one. Our electricity bill is probably your biggest chunk, but water can be a big chunk too. So looking at where your water costs are, how often are we watering the grass? That's a really big one that does add up in the summer. Maybe even going to some plants that can handle less water than other plants if that's a really big area in your neighborhood. And then, checking for leaks. We're coming up on a fun time with Easter egg dyeing kits. That's my go-to for checking for leaks in your toilets. Just take an extra tablet. Like, no kid loves yellow on Easter eggs. So grab the yellow tablet, stick it into the back of the toilet, and you're gonna know within a minute or two if you have a leak in your toilet because the water in the bowl is gonna become yellow. Now, that's not when you flush, that's before you flush. The water, you'll start to see like, oh, this shouldn't be moving from one spot to another until I flush it, but it is moving. That color has changed. So Easter egg tablets are a fun, easy way to find leaks. Your kids will find it thrilling too. So lots of advice there. And if you actually search Southern Savers for this, we have a how to save on heating costs, how to save on cooling costs, how to cut your water bill. So looking at all of those and going through that list is going to be a big, big way to cut those bills. Insurance is another big bill when we come to car insurance and house insurance. I don't stick it under utilities, but since we're going through bills, those are ones that you do need to call every single year. We actually went to town today and I'm opening the mail as we're driving to town this evening, and all the mail were the renewal statements from State Farm for cars and the house. And I mentioned right then to my husband, they're smart. They do not tell you what your last renewal was. You don't know. So you get this renewal statement. I have no clue what it was. I have to go digging to find out if this number has actually gone up. They do that on purpose. So you need to do that digging. Don't just open up that renewal statement and be like, okay, whatever. No, go digging, especially if you are paying this amount. So we pay this amount with cars and the house all in one bill, right? We pay it monthly, all in one bill. So I don't even remember how much each little piece of that is. It's all in one bill together. Very smart of them. No, you need to do some digging. So you need to go online. You can look at your current statements online or save them, have it pulled somewhere, and actually assess how much did this go up this year. I know that some of them did because it was very eye-opening to see what our homeowners insurance will be for the next year, and it was not that much last year. And I get that they've had a lot of losses this year, but they have not had a lot of losses near me. So it's wait a second, I don't want to see this go up. So in those moments, we need to be ready to make some phone calls. You need to be ready to price this out with other insurance agencies. And that should be something you're doing every year. So this is either renegotiating the bills that we have with the people that we're with, or calling and getting quotes with other people to see what our options are. So this is your insurances, this is your cell phones, your internet, any regular bill that you're paying that is an extra. I don't need my cell phone, right? I could make some changes. So not being stuck, I know it takes some time to do that legwork, but it could be a significant savings for you in the end. Going and meeting with your insurance guy as well, face to face with this person. Let's go through it line by line. Actually just did that 4 months ago with the State Farm guy. So I feel like he and I are about to have another sit down. And there might not be anything I can do there. So if that's the case, we're definitely getting on the phone and we're going to price this out and make sure we're where we need to be, because that's an insane price and I don't want to pay that. So you have to be willing to do that legwork to bring down those monthly expenses any way that we can. Definitely, if there's something that can be adjusted, let's figure it out and let's adjust it. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I agree. Michelle says South Carolina is not known for public transportation. You wouldn't want to use public transportation where we are for sure. Okay, let's see. I'm jumping through. Sorry, guys. I went on some tangents there. That is awesome, Lynn. I give you major props. I think about that dripping of the water and I want to. I'm going to encourage my husband to do this too. Lynn says when she has to drip the faucet on really cold nights, she saves the water and uses it for other things like watering plants and rinsing dishes. I love it. That is hands down for you. I would need a lot of buckets in our world. And water for us, we are on a well. So I am paying to run the well, but I am not paying for the actual water. So I'm with you though. I want to save it. We will now invest on a lot of things to catch our water. Okay. Oh, and Lily is chiming in for renters that October through March tends to be slower months since most families move during the summer. So that helps out for any renters. So rent might be cheaper if they can pull people in during those months, if you're looking at switching it up. Okay. Well, we went over on time tonight. We did hit a lot of areas. Hopefully some of this is helpful if you've got an area that you're struggling with on your budget. And if I didn't hit the area that you are struggling with, I would love to know that. So we all have different struggles. So I've hit some of the things that can be big in our family. But if you've got one I didn't hit, I'm happy to help you figure that out. So leave it in the comments. Send me an email, jenny@southernsavers.com. Always happy to hit any topic that we can that might be helpful as folks are just trying to get savings under control. Next week, I want us to hit using the memberships, basically all the options. Everybody has one now. Walmart Plus, Amazon, Target Circle. So what are they? Which ones are worth it? What are all the benefits? Let's make sure that if you've got it, you're not missing out on some way to save with that program. So we're going to try to go through some of the bigger options that are out there. I even want to throw in the warehouse clubs if we have time, so that you can kind of make the wisest choice. I don't recommend being members of all of them. Pick one, hopefully, but the wisest choice, and then make sure you're taking advantage of all the things that membership gets you, because that's really what these are, right? Amazon Prime, Walmart Plus. So that's what we're going to hit next Monday night. Hopefully you can join me then too. I am not going to do a drugstore video tomorrow. I told you guys I would tell you that tonight. There are really no new deals. It's the last week of the month for both stores. A ton of coupons kind of went away for CVS, so not really that many great deals over what we had for last week. So that video is still up. You can head to Facebook or YouTube at our past videos and see all of the current deals at CVS and Walgreens. Almost done re-couponing both lists as well. Finish that in the morning. if you do want to head over and see, but not a lot of new deals in either store. So I'll be back next Monday night for using all those membership options the best way, and then back with all new deals in the drugstores next Tuesday.